Hello from Google for Nonprofits. Today, we'll be talking about how to activate Google Workspace for nonprofits. Google Workspace includes apps that you know and love like Gmail, Calendar, Google Drive, Meet, and Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides, but all for your nonprofit so you can operate in a professional setting with our amazing productivity tools. The first step to getting access to Google Workspace for nonprofits is to request a Google for Nonprofits account. If you visit our website at google.com/nonprofits, you can review the eligibility requirements, request an account, and after our team verifies your nonprofit, you can then activate and use Google products, including Google Workspace. Once you have a Google for Nonprofits account and you sign in to that account, you'll be walked through these steps to activate Google Workspace for nonprofits. The first step is to sign up for Google Workspace if your organization hasn't already. You'll verify your domain, and we'll talk a bit more about what that means. You'll submit that domain to our team for review. And then once you're approved, you can sign into Google Workspace in the admin console and get started using things like Gmail to power your nonprofit. So once you have a Google for Nonprofits account and you log in, you'll see your nonprofit name and that little green verified. And in this screen, if you click Activate Products, you'll be taken to the product list. At the very top is Google Workspace for Nonprofits, so if you'd like to get started, you can click that button, come along with us. The first question we'll ask you in the product flow is, does your nonprofit currently use Google Workspace? If the answer is no, you're brand new to Google Workspace, click that no and click the next button. You'll land on a screen that walks you through the steps to get signed up for a Google Workspace for Nonprofits trial, to verify your domain, and then ultimately to submit that domain for review. So step one is signing up for a Google Workspace for Nonprofits trial. If you click that link, you'll get taken to a new screen and a flow that walks you through how to get Google Workspace for nonprofits. Once you're through this flow, you'll land on a final screen that tells you, if you've purchased your domain during this flow, that you need to verify you own that domain. After that, Google Workspace will email you next steps to make sure that you are activated for Google Workspace for nonprofits. So from this screen, if you click Continue to Setup, you'll end up in the Google Workspace Admin console, where you can walk through the steps of verifying your domain. But if you forget that step, or you're looking for the Verify Your Domain link, go back to your Google for Nonprofits account, walk through those couple of steps, so click Activate Products, click Get Started with Workspace. When you get back to this screen, you've finished that sign up trial flow, but here's that link to verify your domain if you forget where it is. If you click this link, it will take you to a Help Center article that walks through the details of what it means to verify a domain. The reason this is important is that verifying your domain shows us that you own that domain and you actually have permission to do things like sending emails from that domain. So it basically protects your nonprofit. Once you're done with domain verification, if you go back to your Google Workspace for Nonprofits activation flow in your Google for Nonprofits account, you've signed up for that free trial, you verified your domain. Now the final step is to submit your domain so that we can review your request. So type that domain into the field and click the Activate button. Once you've done this, on your home page for Google for Nonprofits, when you see the list of products, it'll show you that your activation request has been received by our team. And if you're still not sure, also check your email, because you'll have an email from the Google for Nonprofits team telling you we've received your activation request. Our team reviews typically within 3 business days. What the team is looking for is to make sure that you have verified your domain, as we talked about, and that you've submitted a domain that's related to your nonprofit. So if you verified your domain and your domain is related to your nonprofit, once you get approved, if you log back into your Google for Nonprofits account, you'll see status approved and you'll see the domain that you activated. You'll also receive an email telling you that Google Workspace for Nonprofits is activated for your domain. Now, what if you already use Google Workspace and you're either trying to get Google Workspace for Nonprofits, which is free, or you're trying to get Google Workspace discounts for business and enterprise editions? If you remember that original screen when we were walking through the Google Workspace for Nonprofits activation flow, there was an option to pick yes, we currently use Google Workspace. So let's go through that flow quickly. On the next page, what you'll be asked is to provide the domain that you're using on Google Workspace today so that we can check to see what version you're using and what you're eligible for. So if you submit your domain and click Next, you'll get one of two potential options. Option one, your domain is eligible for an upgrade to Google Workspace for nonprofits. This means that your domain is on an edition that can be upgraded to Google Workspace. If you click Activate from this screen, you'll go through that same flow where we basically show you that your application has been submitted and we're reviewing. The other option is that you may be eligible for Google Workspace Business or Enterprise editions at a deep nonprofit discount. So same thing here, if you're ready to move forward and you click Activate, you'll submit that domain to us for review and approval. Now, what if you're on a Google Workspace edition, but you don't want discounted business or enterprise, you actually want Google Workspace for nonprofits offered at no charge? On this screen, if you notice down at the bottom, there's another little card. So if we scroll down, you can see if you're looking for Google Workspace for nonprofits offered at no charge, you need to switch, in this case, your nonprofit's Google Workspace edition to Business Starter. And that follow these steps text links to another screen that'll explain how to do that. So all of your options are really available to you here. Same screen that you'll get once you click Activate, that your activation request is received by our team. And then another email telling you, same thing, your activation request has been received. And then once you're approved for Google Workspace discounts, so for example, discounts on Business Standard or Business Plus or the Enterprise editions, you'll see this status in your account. You'll get an email once you're approved that gives you the additional steps you'll need to take depending on what you're looking for, whether you want the discount of your current Workspace edition, the discount of a different Workspace edition, or perhaps to get back to Google Workspace for nonprofits, which is free. So in each case, regardless of which step or direction you pick or what you are looking to get, Google for Nonprofits will review to ensure the domain you submitted is related to your organization and will send you an email when your activation is approved. If you're approved for Google Workspace for Nonprofits, the email will explain how to get started. And if you're approved for Google Workspace Business or Enterprise discounts, that email will tell you the steps you need to complete to finish the activation. So make sure you go back to your email to check. Great, so let's imagine that you're fully ready to go, you've just been approved. How do you get started using Google Workspace for nonprofits? To start Google Workspace for nonprofits, you log into a separate system, so not your Google for Nonprofits account. You're going to log into admin.google.com. Make sure that you use your Google Workspace Admin email. You created this email when you went through that sign-up flow for Google Workspace for nonprofits. This is going to be an email address at your nonprofit's domain. This will not be a Gmail account. And it's often not even the same email you use to sign up for Google for Nonprofits. So don't get confused there. Make sure as you're going through the process, you're writing down all the logins you're using. Once you're in, you'll see the Google Admin Console. This is how, as the admin of your nonprofit's Google Workspace account, you can do things like add users, for example, or review the apps that are in Google Workspace, create groups, organizational units, build your company profile, all of those types of things. So this is what the admin console looks like. So let's talk quickly about some common activation challenges. First, what happens if your Google Workspace for Nonprofits trial expires? Well, to solve this, if you have access to your Google for Nonprofits account, you can just submit that expired domain for activation. Our team will review, and once you're upgraded to the full Google Workspace for Nonprofits edition, you'll be able to log back in. If you don't have access to your Google for Nonprofits account for whatever reason, you can get in touch with customer support at workspace.google.com/support. And when in doubt, you can also try the troubleshooter at the Google for Nonprofits Help Center at support.google.com/nonprofits. Remember, if you sign up for a Google Workspace for Nonprofits trial, you have 14 days to come back to the Google for Nonprofits team, submit your domain for activation, and get approved. So you have to do those steps within that 14-day period. What happens if you can't verify your domain for use with Google Workspace? In this case, That Help Center page that I shared earlier at support.google.com/workspace is really detailed. There is a set of pages devoted entirely to domain verification, and will even tell you for your specific domain host how to do the verification steps with detailed instructions that match to the UI of your domain host. So definitely go there if you're getting stuck. What about if you can't log into Google Workspace Admin, that admin console? So first, make sure you're using the right URL. To log into your Google Workspace Admin console, you need admin.google.com. Your Google for Nonprofits account is not where you administer Google Workspace for your organization. Second, triple check that you're selecting your Google Workspace Admin from the account selection dropdown. So make sure you're not trying to use a Gmail account, or you're not using maybe a different account by accident. And when in doubt, we highly suggest using an incognito window to sign in to ensure you're not accidentally logging in with the wrong account. When in doubt, support.google.com/nonprofits has both a lot of Help Center content, but then also a community forum where you can look through and see if other people have run into similar challenges and their questions have been answered. Thank you all so much, and best of luck getting started with Google Workspace for Nonprofits.